Okay, so I decided to restart that live stream with the laptop because I was trying to do it with the other webcam, and the resolution was really bad. It was really super pixelated, and I'm like, the laptop's actually better than that webcam, surprisingly, but maybe not surprisingly. I don't know. Either or. So what I'm doing is I'm just like cutting all the potatoes up as I go. But I looked and I see like if I see a bit, like I see I missed like a bit of something like on one potato, I can just go back and I can just cut that bit off, you know? Just because there's a bad I think like there's this mythology like if one part of a vegetable is bad, the whole thing's bad. No, you can just cut out the bottom part. I mean, I don't know. I can't waste food. And my technique has never done me wrong. But if you want to waste a whole potato just because there's like one little bad part in it, be my guest. I would never do that. Oh, he rolled just like I do. Probably just gonna make enough to make a potato dish tonight. I really want more though. If I'm going to the hall time to prep. And then I can see bits of the potato that aren't good, so I just take those out. I just cut those parts out as I go. I see a little bit more like on this one. This one has a little bit that's not good. And like you can just kind of take that part out. That part out. Oh, that's okay actually. And I clean as I go. Like if I have some potato thingies, just walk it to the trash. I don't do the trash bowl. I know there's a lot of famous like people that they do a trash bowl, but I'm like, really, like this is my thought. I just hate it when people say that they can't walk an extra block or an extra few steps. Like I don't know, that's just not my thing. I'm all about the extra steps because they're always saying, "Hey, we should walk more," but wouldn't it be good like if we just walk, do something? If there's a bad part of a potato, like you can just like cut it up like that. It's very simple. Just kind of get it cut out. That part's out. I just do like, I'm just like it's simple. People have to like, oh no, you have to throw the book. Stop wasting your food. You know, actually, I mean, I've never done dumpster diving. It's not really my thing. But like, rather than let your food all end up in the trash can, like, yeah, produce goes bad fast. It's not like something that has preservatives in it. So if it has bad part, just cut it out. You know, some people are like one bad apple, but sometimes part of the apple's okay. And this is the thing: if you like super ripe fruit, sometimes the part that's still good tastes really good, and you just cut off and throw away. But we live in this society. It's like, oh my gosh, there's one little bad part to this vegetable. That's why sometimes, like at some, I mean, I don't know if it's this way as much anymore because I haven't seen it as much. But it used to be like a few years ago, they would have a section of like produce that was kind of going off. And you might not always see produce that you like, but sometimes, like for a really cheap price, one time I got 4 acorn squashes because I think it was the end. Like it was almost almost the end of January, and they were $1 for 4 acorn squashes, and like one of them had a bad part, but the other 3 were fine. And yeah, I made something with it. That worked out for me. It worked out really well. Layering potatoes. And for anybody, I don't know if anybody was watching my Disneyland shorts. I think I'm gonna make a little vlog about my trip to Disneyland for people who do like Disneyland, but that's gonna take a while because I have to go through all the footage. But it was kind of cool because I think, just in my experience, like I've always had a good experience at Disneyland, but I felt like this time that I went, like everybody was just really like, it was really positive, and it seemed like everybody that was there really wanted to be there. Whereas in the past, I don't know, like I kind of felt like the people, like a lot of people always seemed mad, and angry, and just like, not always, but just there would be some rude behavior sometimes. And I didn't see that as much this time. And I don't know, I thought that was a benefit. I'm like, that's cool. Like it just seemed like it was people who really like Disney. They're not just taking their kids there because it's somewhere that their kids want to go. It seems more like it's people who are really Disney fans. And I'm not always a big fan of like, oh, prices going up. Then maybe that was one good thing about, well, Disney's a little bit more. So maybe the people who go actually want to go there. And it's not like, oh my God, you drug me to Disneyland. Because I remember when I was a kid, it just got a lot of that. There'd just be kind of like, oh, and another thing that was kind of cool, I'll talk about in my vlog too, was we actually did so many rides because we stayed from we ended up going a little bit late because I was supposed to wake my sister up. But I don't know, I was like, maybe she wants to sleep in. Hi, how you doing, Casey? So I thought, well, maybe she wants to sleep in. So I was kind of letting her sleep in, but I should have called her earlier. But we got there like by 9:48, and then we stayed until midnight, and we did a lot of things. Like we did almost all the rides we wanted to do. Like there were probably some little kid, we did like things that like the Alice in Wonderland ride and things like that. But we pretty much did every ride we wanted to do. But I filmed a lot of it. I didn't film as much of the new Star Wars Land, which was okay. If you really love Star Wars Land, it's very cool. Like there's a couple things there I think people that are really fans of it would really love. But yeah, it was interesting. It was fun. And I like going at Christmas because it smells like cinnamon, and it smells really good. And they even have Starbucks at Disneyland now because coffee culture is big now. Like when I was a kid, people drank coffee, but it wasn't like this whole thing, it's like become a bigger thing. Like you have the holiday coffee, you have and their prices were about the same as regular. I don't know, it was a lot of fun. And then we got to look at shops, and I like going with my sister because she's just, I let her pick what she wanted to do because I'm kind of boring. No, I'm not boring, but I have like this thing where I would probably ride Space Mountain like 5 times or something because there's just certain rides that I really like, and I love Space Mountain. I would like the log ride. I just don't want to be a wet noodle because it seems like every time I'm on the log ride, I end up being a wet noodle. But I have to kind of save some of that for my Disneyland vlog so I can just kind of talk about it there, I think. So I'll talk about potatoes instead. I'm cutting up lots of potatoes, and yes, I do love vegan cooking. Because I don't know, I don't eat meat, and pretty much anything you make that's like standard, you can veganize. I know people say that they can't, but you pretty much can. And this is not exactly like the exact scalloped potato recipe that my mom gave me, because every single time that I cook, I'm like, oh no, I forgot to buy onions, or I forgot to buy pepper. So I'm just kind of adapting it to what I have in my fridge. And that's just cooking with the ingredients you have in your fridge. Like you don't have to be like, oh my God, I have to make a special trip to the grocery store because I didn't buy this ingredient tonight. I'm like, no, you can just make it. Like it probably won't be exactly like the recipe in the book. That I think, which cookbook was she using? It was I think it's the Better Homes and Gardens one. Like it's that big red and white checkered cookbook. But she veganized it because you can You can veganize recipes. Like, it's possible. It is totally possible. I know people are like, oh, no, you can't. Yes, you can. And this one is actually just potatoes, and it has some non-dairy milk. I'm going to use coconut milk. Some people might be triggered by that, but I love, like, many different kinds of flavors. So for me, this is going to be just what I want it to be. It's like this, like the standard one has pepper. It has a dairy milk that doesn't have a flavor in it, like just almond. I have almond coconut. That's what I have. So that's what I'm using, okay? But you can use, if you want it to be like super just more, I don't know, like just more bland. Not bland, but just more like standard. Just use a non-dairy milk that doesn't have like coconut in it. But for me, coconut adds flavors because, you know, people put coconut milk in lots of different dishes, and it's another layer of flavor. It's just so good. So I'm like, I don't know. I always cook with a little bit of coconut milk. It's just something I do. So I do it all the time. It's pretty standard for me. Just trying to get rid of those seeds. Well, I don't mind if some of the bell pepper seeds get in the dish, but those were sticking to my fingers. See, when it comes to like dishes, like a lot of people are just like, I can't use this part of the vegetable. I can't use this part. I don't know. I use the whole thing. Like I love my fruits and veggies, so I use the whole thing. I just do. That's just how I roll, you know? So I didn't have an onion. I'm going to use this in place of my onion. Oh, I don't want that piece to be so big, so I'm going to kind of, I don't know. I just like smaller. Even though I sliced up the potatoes, I kind of want the peppers to just be sort of, might not seem like there's a rhyme or reason to this, but it's what's feeling right now. So this is how I'm doing it. You know? What you feel at the moment when it comes to cooking, might be right. To just like let my hands off of it. Alrighty, Ruse. It's getting some stuff off my fingers. It's gonna be nice nice and primed and ready to go by the time I'm done chopping everything. Here's my little tip to get things off the knife. You turn it upside down like this and just go tap, 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 and it falls off. It's a really good strategy for getting everything off. Oh, I love me some bell pepper. I have to eat a little slice. So yummy. Well, sometimes when you're out, like I got vegan options everywhere, but I just feel like when you're eating out, the sodium is just so high. Like it's just so much sodium. I mean, I still put some salt in my food, but I'm just not always used to eating out like level of sodium. So sometimes you just need a break from the sodium, you know? So let me see what else I need to prep for my little recipe. So since I didn't have an onion, I'm using a bell pepper. So yeah, I'm using a bell pepper. And then, let's see. Arrange half the potatoes and then half of the onions, half of the flour, half of the seasonings, then arrange. Okay, so we're going to make the seasonings next. I don't have all the things that they wanted to have, so I'm just going to put this aside for the moment so I can kind of blend. I cleaned out my coffee grinder because my little coffee grinder can double as like an herb processor. So let me see what else am I missing. I didn't have the pepper, so I'm going to be I'm going to puree my rosemary. Yeah. It's going to do a little bit. So I'm going to have to clean them out again, of course. Okay. Because I want to go by the sprig. Kind of put them off. I'm going to get them gently off that one. Okay, so yeah. One has some hard parts. Maybe that's okay. I don't know how much rosemary I want. I think I really want a lot of rosemary. This is going to be my version of scalloped potatoes, and it's very rosemary centric. And this is dried rosemary from my mom's garden, and it's really good. I'm like, that rosemary bush could never come and live with me, but he looks like a rooster. He did circa 2017. He looked like a rooster. So I don't know. Sometimes I use the fresh rosemary, but to be honest, I kind of like to let it like sit in my fridge in the back to where it's not completely dried out, but it's somewhat dried out, and it just makes it easier. Like if you do want to puree it, like it's going to be easier to do it. Okay, I think the rest of my herbs I'm going to save for later. Maybe I'll put some of them in a rosemary dressing. I think I'm going to make like a salad too later. I wrote a hub on Hub Pages years ago about how I pureed, back when I used to be active on there, pureed Greek oregano and rosemary, and I made all these really good herb like infusions. Well, what I did was I had let my mom's rosemary dry in the bags for like a month, like in the fridge. So these are not like herbs that I'm going to stick, like when I did it this way, I'm not going to stick them in my cabinet. You could if you let them dry out longer, but I kind of like them because they're still kind of fresh. So they kind of have a little bit of freshness to them, but a little bit of grindability. Look, I don't know why I do it this way. This is the way I like to do it. You can do it any way you want. Besides, this recipe actually called for pepper. I didn't have pepper, so I'm using rosemary. That's what I'm doing. I need to get off every sprig of the rosemary because I don't want to waste any of it. It's really good. It's so good. It really is. This one's too spriggy. I need to get the seeds off that one because we don't want the stem. You just want the herb part, no stem. Like I'm just saying, you don't want to grind up the stem, in my opinion. Not that part. I'm not going to eat that part. I mean, I guess you could, but it'd be pretty woody. So I just think, yeah, let's grind up the stem. Okay. Alrighty, Rubes. So I still have my peppers. I kind of want to cut up a couple of them. I think I'm not going to use all of them today, but a couple I might. These were ones off my little chili pepper plant. He kind of didn't last because he just, I should have watered him more. But anyhow, I didn't, so I'm just going to use what I have left. Some of them, maybe not all. Might let the rest dry out a bit more so I can puree those in a couple days. I think, yeah. So I'm going to add other things to my little mixture that I'm using in place of pepper. That's okay. A little bit wetter than I had anticipated, but that's fine. So I'm gonna it's very herby, herbaceous. I'm gonna get my little spatula so I can get the rest of it out of there. Basically, I just made a rosemary pepper infusion thing. Why am I doing this? I don't know. I like rosemary and I like pepper, so there's like an ornamental pepper, but it's kind of like a sweet chili pepper. It's a sweet variety basically. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get all of it out, but I'm gonna try to get as much. And it did end up being on the wetter side, so yep. I should have let it dry a little bit more, I think, but that's okay, because I just wanted some flavoring. So yeah, for my little rosemary. But boy, that sure does use up the rosemary. It got really tiny. Nice and tiny. Mm-hmm. It smells like rosemary. It smells like that bush in my parents' garden. I love that bush. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do next. I have I'm just trying to make an herby infusion. Some garlic powder. I'm going to add that to this right here. Garlic powder. And then I have the salt. And I'm going to get a little spoon. And for me, a plastic spoon kind of makes it easier because it won't stick. I don't know. They're just made out of plastic spoon. I don't think it's going to stick to it as much. Mix it up a little bit. Okay. I think I might add some more salt to it. That piece of rosemary did not really puree, but I made like an herby like mixture with some garlic powder, some fresh rosemary, some peppers that I had grown in my little backyard, but that pepper plant didn't really last. I also have dry peppers from my mom's garden if I wanted to add that, but this is good. So I'm going to go with that. And then, okay, let's see what it says. Also, I need this one says tablespoon of flour, but I feel like maybe you need a little bit more than that. I'm going to just do, because I kind of want it to congeal a bit, I think I'm going to just do like a third of a cup. Because I'm going to sprinkle it all around, and I kind of want it to be thicker this time. That's my thought for doing that. Stick him back in the fridge. Okay, so let's see. So arrange the potatoes half the potatoes and half the onions, half the flour, half the seasoning. Then arrange the second half of the potatoes, onions, and seasoning. Pour 1/3 cup of milk all over. 1 cup. Okay. So here is my little cooking dish right here. I need some oils just so he doesn't stick. I don't want my things sticky. So I'm not going to use a lot, just like enough. Just like kind of, coat the bottom of the thing, like not too much. Some paper towel. Okay. So, it's enough to coat the bottom. Maybe the milk's back in the fridge until I'm done. I don't want them to go bad, you know? Alright, so I'm going to go back to my little recipe so I get an idea of what I'm doing. Kind of just, so you want to arrange, like, I'm just going to kind of do it like I did last time, where I'm just arranging it along the bottom. Like, I'm going to layer things, really. I mean, this isn't like a super precise recipe. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, this is so precise. No, I improvise a lot. Okay. So there's potatoes right there. Then you have onions. Like, I'm going to make layers of it. That's how I do it. then I'm going to do the herbs next. Some of my herbies. Just going to kind of sprinkle them over the top. I probably should have dried them out more. That's okay. It's just going to be very herbaceous. And then I'm going to take a tablespoon and just kind of sprinkle flour all over. Sprinkle. And sprinkle. Okay, so then I'm going to do another round of potatoes. And I'm going to do some bell pepper. I'm going to sprinkle some of my herbs. I might run out of some of my herby stuff. I'm just going to kind of, so I can get it to work. I might have to make more herby stuff because I want really herby, you know. And then flour of this one. All right. Then we're going to do one more layer. One more layer. It's potato time. Kind of like Hammer time. Like if you were born before, like, I don't know, or you remember MC Hammer, like it's Hammer time, it's potato time. You get it? I mean, I just love me some MC Hammer. Gotta love MC Hammer. It's just so pure. I'm just gonna use garlic because I ran out of my. With that one, got everything in. I don't want to waste any of my herbies, so I'm going to try and get some more of my herbies out. Okay. I'm going to do the rest of the flour over the top, like it said. You know, it called for that. Just fill in some blanks here. And then I'll just kind of spread it over like that. All right. Let's do some more salt over the top for this last layer. And then some pepper, just to get some good flavor. And then what we're gonna do is we need our milk back. Let's see, what am I gonna do with my milk? I am gonna do this. So it says how much milk? Pour 1 cup. Yes, I knew it was a cup. I'm like, you need enough. Not too much. Not too little. I guess I could. Somebody wants to, this is fancy almond milk. And I'm like, this is the way it looks. Like, Califia is a California brand almond milk. It might not look that way in your city, but this is one, or your state or your country. This is a well-known vegan brand in Southern California. I don't know if they go across the country or if they export it, but this is just a brand that I like. I'm gonna have to kind of. I think I might add a little bit more than it said, just to kind of. I don't know. Do I want to add more? It said. We just one more extra cup. It's really. Oh no! It went over the side. That's not good. Come on. I think I just want to. I'm gonna kind of help it out. I think it needs another. I'm just gonna. Here. Then I'm gonna go get something to wipe it up. Yeah, it'll cook off, so I'm not worried about that. It's gonna cook off. Now sometimes what a recipe says, I change it a little because I'm like, you need more liquid, mister, especially if we're adding flour to you. So I'm gonna kind of take this and rub it, and then meld it. I'm just gonna kind of help everything submerge a bit. I feel like there's some places that it could have been a little bit more. It just needs a mixing a little bit. And then we just need to flip them. I mean, the other layers are going to be submerged in their liquid, so they're good to go. I just feel like, yeah, the layers need to submerge a bit. All right, let's stick this one in the oven. We'll send him on his way. All right, I'm gonna do something with the rest of my potatoes, like kind of similar thing. I'll come back later and show you this. Anyway, thanks for watching for a bit.